super awkward. Alright. Oh crap, I'm recording. Well, how do you stop smiling? So, my name's Eric. I'm the Wayward Nurse, and welcome to my channel. Obviously, this is my first ever video, first time ever recording myself for any reason that I can think of, actually. And I'm already breaking a bunch of YouTube rules. I'm driving. It doesn't sound super safe, but here we are. So why do I think this is a good idea? Well, I think this is a good idea for a few reasons. And the first reason is because I am passionate about the profession of nursing. And I find that nursing as a profession, it's kind of in a state of disarray. And as much as we want to label our corporate overmasters as the boogeymen of the nursing world, I think there are some hard truths that we as nurses also need to face. The first of which is the nursing profession is a grossly inconsistent profession. You've got nurses of all level of quality at all levels of experience, and that's part of the reason why the three most dangerous words in healthcare are, in my experience. Your experience may not be well educated or well informed. Your experience likely has a very small sample size. Your experience is limited by your perception of that experience. So my intent behind this channel is to try to broaden the discussion of nursing in particular, and maybe healthcare in general. I think there are a lot of things that just aren't talked about. And, you know, if variety is the spice of life, we still need somebody to stir the pot. So, sloppily as I may, this is me pulling out the stick. So, why did I choose the name The Wayward Nurse? Well, I'll be forthright. Everything that I do, I strive. Let me rephrase that. Everything that I reflect on that I do, everything that I take seriously, I approach from a theological perspective. But I don't want that to turn you off, because ultimately the principles that I'm going to share, I think, are beneficial regardless of your religious or philosophical presuppositions. Because ultimately, when we're talking about where the rubber meets the road, just the practical experience of healthcare, the things that I'm going to say that are theologically driven are indisputable, regardless of your creed. I'll give you a fine example, and it's maybe controversial, but it's one that I absolutely love to use against my baby nurses who have sparkly eyes talking about becoming a CRNA. Why? Because that is where you make the most money. This job's not worth the money. It's just not. I'm a travel nurse. I traveled through COVID. It is not worth the money. There has to be something more. There has to be something more, or you are going to be eaten alive, and you will just become cynical and wretched. So, there's my first talking point, maybe for another video. But the other reason why I chose Wayward is because I think it's a good description of my path to nursing. It's a good description of my experience in nursing, because my preceptorship was absolutely awful. My first experience with ICU healthcare was really, really tough for a variety of reasons, including being a charge nurse of our ICU with only 6 months experience as a nurse. And that's a common problem. It took me a long time to find my way. And it took me a long time to find my way in nursing. And I'm still struggling to find my way. Lane change. And honestly, this channel is part of me doing that. This is a windy, bumpy, pothole-ridden road. And unless you are equipped to travel it, it's just going to tear you to pieces. And I've felt that. I've felt that recently. I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. And so this is me reaching for what I know is possible. I know that I have something to offer here. I know that I have nuggets of wisdom that just aren't talked about. In part because there's no time. Sometimes because they don't come up. Sometimes because when they come up, the preceptor doesn't care to address it. There's all kinds of reasons why, but there is just so much. And I know that I have only scratched the surface. I've been blessed to spend the last 5 years in a level 1 trauma center in Indianapolis, working in the transplant unit, the trauma ICU, neuro ICU, surgical ICU, and I've really gotten a flavor of all the broad strokes of ICU nursing. But the things I'm going to discuss go beyond ICU. It's applicable in the ED. It's applicable on the floor. It's applicable in L&D. And yeah, that's going to be the basis of my channel. We're going to talk about nursing practice. We're going to talk about nursing philosophy. We're going to talk about things like coping with being a nurse. I don't think people understand. As a nurse, it's your job to make sure that all of the physician's orders are executed in a timely and safe fashion, regardless of what department's involved. If you have a med order that the physician failed to write correctly and the pharmacy failed to verify correctly and you gave the med as prescribed, you're still at risk. Because there are circumstances in which it's just not safe. And you're expected to know that. But on the other hand, you're expected to execute without question. It's your job to make sure that physical therapy sees your patient. It's your job to make sure that laboratory gives you timely results for the blood that you had to draw and then walk to lab yourself. It's your job to make sure your patient is up in the chair. It's your job to make sure your patient is doing their breathing treatments. It's your job to make sure your patient has a safe place to stay when they get out of the hospital. It's your job to do all of this, and you, fellow nurse, have no authority. We have all this responsibility and no authority. And it's tough. So how do we cope? What's the right way to drop an NG tube? What's the right way to hold your hands when you're trying to use your only line with antibiotics running in it to give PRN medications? What's the right way to transport a patient? How do you drive a bed? How do you convince your delirious patient on a low air loss mattress that there are not rats in their bed? These are things that aren't talked about. So let's talk. If you think you'll find this content interesting, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm pretty sure that's one of those YouTube things you're supposed to say at the end of your videos. Maybe it's supposed to come before, I don't know. But tell me what you think, because I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm asking for feedback. I'm asking for feedback, and I'm trying to give you some too. So I guess what this channel really is an attempt to grow together. An attempt to make nursing what it's supposed to be. Because you gotta understand, absolutely nobody looks out for us. No one. No one guards the nurse's time. No one when I was in the Army, one of the lessons I was taught is that nobody will care about you more than you care about yourself. And that's a really stupid idea. And I would like to promote a profession of mutual care and compassion and respect. So if that's a journey you're interested in, if you're interested in learning some tips and tricks, if you're learning and interested in sharing some, come with me. Should be a good time.